If you think Domino's hot and fresh means quality, you might want to hear this before dinner. A former employee says 3 common pizzas get wrecked by a 10-minute production trap tied to that old 30-minute delivery promise. Speed rules the kitchen. Texture loses. Stay with me. We'll name the 3 pies, show how the rush turns one into a grease trap, why veggies go limp under extra cheese, and how thin crust burns or sags when the line is slammed. Then I'll give you the order that actually works, and the exact tweak that fixes it. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. Costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now back to the video. Fast sounds fresh, right? Here's where the clock starts running your dinner. In most stores, once your ticket prints, the crew has roughly 10 minutes to get dough dressed, topped, and into the oven. That window hangs off the old 30-minute mindset, and it's enforced by screens that shift from green to yellow to red. When it turns red, the pressure hits bodies, not just pixels. Now add traffic. Tickets stack. There's one conveyor lane humming at a fixed speed. Managers glance up at timers while fielding phone calls and driver questions. The line lead starts triage. Not what bakes best, but what stops the screen from screaming. That is a different job. Think Tetris, but greasy. Each pie is a block with a bake time. Cooks slide them on the belt to line up exits, not to nail the perfect cook. If a thick, loaded pie would slow the stream and tip another order into red, it waits. Or worse, it gets rushed cheese, sloppy spread, and a prayer. Watch a peak run. For mediums, ding at once, then 2 larges, then a thin crust tagged for carryout. All of them chase the same belt speed and the same exit end. Someone nudges a large up the queue because the customer's in the lobby. A medium stalls on the make table while a driver needs a remake. The belt doesn't care, keeps moving. Speed-first systems pay in texture. That's not theory. You see it in any kitchen that holds hot food to make the clock look good. Minutes under a heat lamp flatten a crust's bubbles and turn the bottom leathery. A lid traps steam. The snap goes soft. When time gets tight, shortcuts slip in. Pre-cooked toppings go on heavy to show value. Par-batching sauce cups and cheese scoop speeds hands but muddies ratios. The items with the most steps, extra sauces, layered toppings, special cuts, are the first to lose precision. If the standard pies strain the system, what do you think happens to the complex ones you pay extra for? The root cause is simple. The timer steers more choices than the recipe. Quality becomes a variable. Let's start with the worst hit. The premium meat stacks everyone thinks are the safe bet. They look sturdy. Under the clock, they're anything but. You pay for loaded meats. You get a soggy, salty letdown. Here's the mechanical why. Let's start with the build. A specialty meat pie asks for 4 meats in seconds. Pepperoni, sausage, ham, bacon, already pre-cooked. Get dumped on, piled dense, then sent back through the oven for a second ride. Under the clock, the spread is rushed. Toppings clump. The center gets heavy. The edge stays thin. It looks loaded, but it sets you up for failure. More meat means more fat and steam. That fat melts fast. The steam has nowhere to go. When you pack protein tight, it forms a lid on top. Think of it like laying a wet towel over toast. The moisture has no escape route, so it drives downward. The base turns into a sponge. Now the second bake problem. Those meats were already cooked once before they hit the store. Heat them again and they sweat oil and brine into the cheese. Cheese loves to hold heat and act like a cap. So oil pools on top while steam gets trapped under it. Your crust can't dry out. It can't crisp. Bite in and it's slick on top, rubbery underneath. There's another layer the rush doesn't help. Lower grade, high-sodium processed meats shed more liquid under heat. Salt pulls water. Those slices and crumbles leak brine and fat the moment the belt warms them, and that runoff has only one direction, down. The flavor goes loud and salty. The texture goes soft and limp. And while everyone's racing the timer, the food safety margin narrows. Hands move from bin to bin with no real reset. The same gloves hit pepperoni, then sausage, then a different topping. Cross-contamination risk climbs during peak. It's not sinister, it's speed. So what's the takeaway? During rush, the stacked meat premium is engineered to fail. The build is dense. The bake is short. The steam is trapped. The grease wins. If the screen is calling the shots, the meat-heavy pie turns into a grease trap every time. You might think the fix is to pivot to vegetables. Lighter, fresher, safe. Under speed pressure, they break in a different way. Now let's move on to the pie sold as lighter and fresher, the veggie build, and how the clock wilts it. Veggie pies look safe on the menu. In a rush, they limp in the box. The clock doesn't care that you wanted crisp peppers and a clean bite. It only cares that the ticket turns green again. Let's start with the bins. Those pre-cut mushrooms, peppers, onions, olives, and tomatoes sit in cold pans, already sliced to speed the line. Time in a bin leeches snap. Cut cells leak water. The edges soften. By the time the rush hits, those veggies are already halfway to wilted. Then the quiet fix that backfires. During peak, staff toss extra cheese to keep light toppings from blowing off or burning. It hides the bland and helps them stick. But cheese traps steam like a blanket. More cheese, more moisture lock. Your fresh pie is now sealed in. Here's the water dump in plain terms. Mushrooms are little sponges. Peppers and onions hold juice in thin walls. Heat them fast and they steam hard. The belt runs at a set speed so that flood has no time to evaporate through the crust. The bottom stays wet while the top sweats. Oven reality is stubborn. Conveyor heat and dwell time are tuned for an average load. Heavy water toppings need a longer ride to drive off moisture and set the crumb. They do not get it. The belt keeps moving. The center never firms. There's a reason this happens even before bake. Holding sliced produce speeds enzymatic softening. Cells break down. Water activity rises. When those toppings hit high heat, the free water bleeds out fast. You taste flat because the flavors wash into a moist, salty pool. And the nutrition halo slips. To keep things together, the store adds cheese and often a heavier shake of salty finishers. The healthy order turns into a sodium and cheese bomb that still eats soggy. Less crisp, more weight. Not the goal. So if the average crust struggles under that load, think about the one that lives or dies by precision. Thin dough has no cushion, no backup, no extra minutes to spare. Under timer rules, veggie pies come out rubbery, with soggy centers and muted flavor. The real wild card is thin crust, marketed as crisp, but the belt does not forgive mistakes. Thin crust is sold as crisp, but when the queue stacks up you get two outcomes: burnt edge or floppy sheet. That is not bad luck, it's the system. Let's start with control. Thin dough needs an even spread, light hands, and a precise ride through the oven. Load it right on the screen. Keep toppings sparse at the center. Hit a tight dwell time. Miss any part of that, and the base goes from crisp to weak in seconds. Now the tension you do not see. During rush, newer staff often get the thins because they seem simple, less dough, faster build. They're not simple. A heavy scoop of cheese or a mound of toppings sinks the middle. The belt moves at one speed. The pie does not recover. Here is the mechanical failure. A lightweight base heats fast. A crowded belt or a tiny delay swings it from underbaked to scorched. Think of it like toasting a cracker next to a loaf. The cracker hits done, then burnt while the loaf barely moves. Thin crust lives in that narrow band. Edge versus center is brutal. The rim catches the first blast and characters. The middle stays shaded under toppings and steam. You open the box to a dark halo and a sagging center that folds on the lift. Not crisp, not stable. The research-backed reality is simple. Low-mass crusts have tight thermal margins. Small shifts in timing and temperature change the texture. Fixed settings built for a standard medium do not track those shifts. The result is either a dry, brittle sheet or a damp center that never sets. Then there's the price. You pay more for less dough, but the system isn't tuned to deliver consistent crisp under load. The markup buys fragility, not performance. A quick mini case from the line. When several thins hit behind a stack of heavy pies, the steam rolling off those loads changes the microclimate over the belt. Exhaust flow, humidity, and heat distribution shift for a few minutes. That thin loses its short window to dry. Edges scorch while the center steams. So the mini payoff is clear. Thin crust is the least forgiving when timers run the line. Peak, your odds of disappointment go up fast. So what actually works when the clock is the boss? Here's the fix that stacks the odds in your favor. The truth is, the timer decides what you eat, not the topping. Under speed rules, complex builds lose first because the clock rewards simple, fast, and forgiving. That is why your premium pies fail at peak and a basic hand-toss survives. So here's your move. Order a medium hand-tossed with 2 to 3 toppings, ask for well done, and place it off-peak. You get more heat, more dry time, less chaos. If this gave you something to chew on, hit like, subscribe, and share it with someone. Stay curious. We'll keep testing chains that promise hot and fresh. Like and subscribe to help us keep the spotlight on the food industry's best-kept secrets.